Hi, it's Barbara, and Valentine's Day is coming up, and there are lots of chocolates and hearts and roses everywhere. And sometimes the marketing around love can feel a little exhausting, and also it can kind of make this beautiful thing we call love seem like it can only come in one shape or one package. But love is way bigger than that, and I certainly felt a different version of that in my near-death experience state. But even on this earthly plane, love is much stranger, much more wonderful than all that. And today I have 4 stories of love where it shows up in its weird and unexpected ways, and I'm hoping that these stories might make you smile or laugh or maybe even pause in awe. This first story is something that happened to me some years ago. I was actually a dog trainer for a while. I wasn't supposed to, but sometimes I would take in aggressive dogs to work on one-on-one. And this one dog in particular was a beautiful border collie named Romeo. He had really kind owners now at that point, but the previous owners, who knows what happened to him because he was extremely aggressive to both humans and dogs. There was something that I would do. I didn't tell the owners of dogs, nor did I tell my employers I was doing it, but when a situation called for it, I would actually do animal communication with the pet I was about to train before our sessions, and that's one of the reasons I was actually very successful as a trainer. So I had my first session with Romeo, and it was a pretty tough session. It was hard to make progress with him. So before the second session, I said, "What do you need, Romeo, to feel safer in these sessions?" And Romeo said, "I want to bring my pink blanket." So I called the owners before the session. I said, "Hey, does Romeo have any object that might help him feel calmer?" And they said, he does have this pink blanket he likes." So I said, "Perfect, bring the pink blanket." And that pink blanket changed everything. We had much faster progression in his training because Romeo had his banky. So sometimes love can exist between beings and objects because we imbue meaning or comfort in these objects, and they take on a meaning all beyond what they were manufactured to be. And I have a feeling that pink blanket actually saved me a few times as well. For this second story, love sometimes shows up in ways we can't see with our eyes or can even scarcely imagine. 2 years ago, I broke my wrist in 2 places really badly, and so at one point I was alone in the emergency room without any pain meds, any meds at all, for the whole time, for 4 hours straight, and I was in such pain. Out of desperation, I asked for help from my parents. Well, they had been dead for a year, and suddenly both my mom and dad appeared at my bedside. My dad instantly started sending this healing energy I could actually see into my wrist, and my mom asked me what she could do to help, and I said, "I don't know, just tell me a joke." I just wanted to feel better. And so she said, "Okay," she told me a joke. Well, it turned out it wasn't a joke. It was extraordinarily wise words. There was wisdom, there was love, there was a very important clue about how I could heal myself more quickly. I said, "This isn't exactly a joke, is it?" And she said, "No, I couldn't think of one." Well, I can't tell you what she said. I'm sorry, but it's too personal. But I'm telling you this to remind you that the people you have known in your life and who you've loved and who loved you, they often visit. And they want to help you how and whenever and however they can, but you need to ask. There's one of these rules that people on the other side and guides and angels and any of them cannot actually come in and assist you unless you ask. Or the only other time is if you're about to step in front of a bus and it's not your time. Sometimes they will intervene. So sometimes love is invisible and subtle and otherworldly. This next story is about how love can show up in the natural world. Last week, I woke up to yet another gray, rainy day. The sky was a steely gray, and I just felt kind of down. And then I heard it. A little beautiful wren, early spring wren, singing its little heart out. So I went outside for a walk to go find out where this wren was. And I found myself in front of this bush full of sparrows and chickadees, just flitting around like tiny dancers and just singing and singing and singing. And I just stood there and I started smiling. It felt like all these birds were saying, "Look how beautiful the world is here." And that day, I felt like I got to know that little wren and that bush full of darling singing birds. They gave me a gift that day. They cheered me up. So love can also show up as a sweet chorus of birds on a gray, rainy day. This final story is about tiny acts of human love. I have this wonderful habit or game where I leave $1 bills on people's parked cars on their windshields. Is it a tiny gift? Yes. Is it silly? Absolutely. Is it wonderful? 100%. And I get to feel like the mischievous elf kind of creature that I am. I love picturing the people coming out to their car and they see something on their windshield and they're like, what's this dumb ad? Or is that a parking ticket? And then they discover it's a $1 bill and they start laughing. It's just a small way of brightening someone's day and spreading unexpected love. So love doesn't need to have grand gestures to matter. It can be something as small as $1 on a windshield. So this Valentine's Day, I am celebrating all the weird and wonderful ways that love can exist on this earthly plane. Love really is everywhere when we take the time to notice it. So I really appreciate you, and I wish you a beautiful Valentine's Day.